Hello everyone. I see we've just got the first comment. Well done. Let me know if the audio is okay. I had a bit of a struggle getting the microphone to work. I don't know why. Oh, Lars is in the chat. Hello. I don't know why, but for some reason, like just simply unplugging it from the last time I used it and then plugging it in again seems to break it working. So I have to disable. I can't remember what I did now. I had to like disable it in control panel and then re-enable it, and it works. So no idea. So yeah, so haven't really got like an actual project to do in this stream. There's more going to be just like what's been happening, what could be happening, etc. sort of stream, and just really so that I can keep in the groove of doing it, because I know I've had a break from doing it and I've not really felt like I want to actually get back into doing it. So yeah, that's why I'm streaming basically. You should be able to see if I can point behind me without looking behind me. I've got another V0. I did want to sort of try and keep to specific topics in order, so I am actually going to write some stuff down first. We will talk about the V0.2 R1 Pro first. Then we'll maybe move on to OSEQ. I want to talk about CAN, which may lead on to another printer build. So let's sort of keep with those topics for now, and then maybe we'll get into something else. I'm purposely avoiding the football, obviously, because we lost. But you know, when was the last time the men got to the final? So very proud of the girls getting there, the Lionesses. It was a really good game, and both teams had plenty of chances, so it could have been more than just 1-0. So not getting it. So let's talk about the. So this is a Fysetc 0.2 Pro R1. So, and then next to it, so I've got like a yin and yang thing going on. Next to it is the non-R1 version. Yeah, I think that's right. And sort of in it, the only real change, the only change of note is that the pink one, we'll call it, has the new Fysetc board, which is Catalyst board, and I can get that over and we'll have a look at that in a second. But what that basically means that it replaces the Cheetah V3 board that the other one came with. We have a new tool head board as well, no tool head PCB. So basically what the Catalyst board does is that it combines the Pi, the control board, the umbilical, all into one PCB, one board, that sits so that there's a connector at the top where the umbilical used to be, and that goes to its own tool head board. So really clever idea, and it works really well. And I know the Pi situation is changing, but so this obviously these are in the budget range of V0s, and when I say budget, I mean at the price that they should be at. I don't think going any higher than this gains you anything. So by having this all in one board, it means you haven't got a source of Pi, because I know Most kits don't come with them. Some resellers might add them, but generally they don't come with them. So it's just a way of keeping everything in one place, and it is genuinely a kit that you can build and have a working printer. You haven't got to go and buy a hot end. You haven't got to go and buy a pie. The wiring is all done. It's very simple. So I will actually, shall I get it over here? I'll get it, what I'll do, so I've done a few modifications. I've put a few mods on this one rather than building it stock. So I'm not going to be able to lift it up a lot, but what I want to do is just turn it around. So I'll just basically show you that. So rather than building this, I'll stay out of frame. Rather than building this as came in the kit, in reality, it's not that much different from the previous one, apart from the control board. So I decided to do a few extra things straight away. So you can see we've got a clipper expander bottom, and the mount for this was actually designed by owner of Cyborg printer manufacturer. So this is on the bottom here, fits in a R1 Hero, really nice. I really like that. Got a foldable ball holder. So the one thing I wish I had done is actually done something better with the no drop nuts, or however you want to call them, because I basically all the nuts are preloaded, they're all loaded in the right place, but there's nothing holding them in place. Which means whenever I sort of take panels off, makes it a little bit more difficult to deal with the nuts because they just drop. But I've been okay at getting them back in place, and not that much. So yeah, I've got the foldable folder, really nice. And what I'll do is I'll put a link description after the video. Might grab it in a second. My print section, and it's got most of the mods in that I've put on the printer. Then we've got finished back panel. Makes it so much easier. But this mod isn't at the moment, I don't think, but I will have to double check. Got sent this by the person who posted about it in Voron board. So yeah, this is the catalyst board. Like I say, I can't really get much closer. What I could do. I apologise if this gets wobbly. Okay. I can't lift it up, unfortunately, because I'm using basically a 3D printed tripod. But I got enough there. So yeah, so it's an all-in-one board. Pluggable drivers. Now this is something I personally prefer, because although you might say, oh, it's not happened to me, I haven't had a driver go bad on a board for a long time. That's very true, but if you do, then got one less driver on it. So having them pluggable at least gives you that option. Also means if there's a new driver come out that is that form factor, brings a feature that you can put it in. But yeah, so we've got, and what I like is that because of the size of the board and where it sits, basically you've got drivers and plugs next to where they need to go, so that it cuts away a little bit of confusion that I've seen where people are plugging drivers into wrong places, or motors into wrong drivers, I should say. I really like that. And as I said, everything comes pre-wired, everything crimped, labeled. So the motors have literally got like 5cm leads. They literally, like, they're enough to plug in where they need to go. It delivers wireless via a dongle. There, you can't see, but it's just in there. Then have two USB ports, an RJ45 connector. You've got your power in and your bed out. Plenty of I/O. You've got, but this, obviously the R1 brings in the filament sensor foot, which is here. I'm not convinced by that. It's not, I was getting a lot of false triggers, so I'm not actually using that now. I'll show you what I'm doing for filament path in a second. But it wires in, it's got a place for it to connect up to. We've got the one DN stop that we've got. And yeah, plenty of space basically in an all neat little package. So I really like that. And so far it's performing really well for me. I'm still doing some tweaks to my firmware config, and they will be on my GitHub at some point. I'm happy with it. Yeah, so not a lot of difference between non-R1 Pro and the Pro R1 kit, other than the electronics. What they've also done, rather than there, so this is the front of the non-R1. This is the V0 display, so this is the one with the MCU on. What they've done with the catalyst upgrade, should we put, is onto the simple Voron V0 display. So it's basically just connector into the control board, and obviously you config, but then you've got your display. There's no updating firmware or even loading firmware on. I know some people, the display can cause quite some issues with memory, stuff like that. Don't have that with this, so that's really cool. What else can I show you? Don't really want to move the camera, so let's try and move this towards you a little bit, and then I will focus and do what I need to do. So let me move it. Let me just put this down a second. Probably should have. I haven't got any of the other cameras plugged in. Basically, relatively, I've caused issues myself with. But you know, good thing about the little zeros that we can just pick it up and put it where we want it. I'll just balance that on two legs. So obviously with our 0.2 top hat, now it is the 80mm top hat. So a lot of people are preferring the 100mm. That is maybe something that definitely should be a change that Fysetc can make. But so the catalyst board, we've got our connector right at the top, and that's on the catalyst board itself. So the whole thing mounts high enough to to then plug your umbilical in. So I was asked when I was building this, oh, is it compatible with the other umbilical toolhead board? Fortunately, no, because what they've done here is they've actually now gone from a 14 pin to a pin. The reason they've done that is that the toolhead board has got an ADXL sensor on, so you've got more wires that need the control board basically. So that's why that's gone from 14. But you've got, and it's also got a thermistor, a chamber thermistor on. Now I have experience of that being about 10 degrees, or almost exactly 10 degrees higher than other sensors. So I'm currently using an external sensor plugged into the stuff. So that I need to investigate why that's like that, whether config or what. So that's why I've currently got another thermistor, can't see, plugged in here. But yeah, other than catalyst board, basically same as the previous kit, which is why I didn't do whole build series on it, because there's not enough change, in my opinion, to warrant a whole new stream. And I don't know if you've heard any of that because my microphone was not on. So hopefully you can hear me now. So yeah, so I'm going to put the camera back where it was because I prefer it over there. Is it quite loud now, Richard? So if I'm speaking, is that too loud, or let me see if I can limit it a bit. Is that a bit better now? I should probably talk so that you can tell me if it's too loud. It's boomy. I tell you what it probably is. The noise gate is on. I've just lowered the threshold a bit, so hopefully it's a bit better. So yeah, so that's why I didn't do like a live stream or anything like that. Thank you, Christian, for letting me know. And thank you, Richard. So yeah, so that's why I didn't do a build series. And so I'm more than happy to sort of, if you see this video and you want to ask questions about the catalyst board, you're more than welcome to leave a comment. Or in all honesty, get into the Fysetc Discord server, which again I will put a link to. In fact, I will get that link now, I think. Put it in the chat. I like to link into the welcome channel just because. Take the limit off. Copy the link. And let's now this, I don't know why YouTube have done what they've done with this stupid button thing in the chat, that I can now not get to the thing to pin this as a comment, which is just stupid. But anyway, so that's the Fysetc Discord server. And if you've got any questions about the Catalyst board or the V0.2 or anything like that, that is the best place to get into and ask questions, and there's people there like me and Richard, and I'm going to get the name of another guy who's also got the board at the moment, and he is called, and it won't show it because okay, no problem. But there's someone else with the board as well, and they can answer questions and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good resources in that server. But yeah, overall, I'm actually really impressed with the catless board, and I have normally been against all-in-one boards because there's always that element of if something goes wrong, it's all in one thing. But what I like about the catless board is that the single board computer, the Pi part, is still a module. It's a CM, and I don't know all the codes or anything like that, but it's the equivalent of like the compute module, I think it's called, by Raspberry Pi. So it's something that you can take off and change if need be. So yes, it's an all-in-one board, but it's a modular board, so that can be fixed if need be. So I think that's pretty cool. CM68, yeah. For some reason I was thinking 30 something, but yeah. So it's got that board. Did you already see if the new gear from gear kit from? So I haven't got. I think you're probably referring to the one that was on their recent live stream. Hello, Maple Leaf Makers. I haven't got that, so I'm not sure if it is. I have got some. I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but the helical gears. I've got some of the separate ones, the ones that could be put onto the BMG components. Those ones don't fit. Because I was actually going to try that on this build. They are just ever so slightly too big to fit when you put the bodies together. But that isn't the one that they have recently had on their live stream. So I would imagine, as Richard says, that it does fit, and he's probably either got one himself or he's had it in his hand, so he will know if it fits. But the standalone helical gears do not. So hopefully that is of help to you. And in all honesty, if I was to build a, yep, there you go. If I was to build a V0.2, I perhaps would go with a different extruder anyway. I really like the LGX Lite. It's the exact same as the standard one you have on any stealth burner. So yeah. And because obviously when they do the, like I'm talking about the two separate ones, they obviously can't know what you're going to put that in. So that's why they probably don't fit into the mini stealth burner, whereas they'd fit into another BMG compatible thing maybe. I ask because for me it seems that the bearing not compatible with stealth burner. So if you're talking about the mini stealth burner, then Richard says that they should be okay. They should fit in any stealth burner because all the components are the same, the BMG components. But I haven't unfortunately got one to confirm myself. But it should work. I mean, with most things, you know, you sort of pay to, although you maybe want to be an early adopter, and that's always a good thing. It's always worth also holding back and waiting, because I know the new Bontex stuff. I don't really know what the two different versions were and what was different about them. They weren't initially compatible with Mini Sherpa. There was a slight modification needed to the STLs. So like, it's always best to sort of maybe hold off just a little bit, and then if there is a change that needs to be done, someone will do it, and then it's ready for when you come to it. But Richard is saying that they should be fine, so I would imagine that they are, and has been sort of confirmed that they work. Right, get me in the middle. There we go. So yeah, if you've got any questions about the kit behind me, I can point to it, then ask away. I would start a print, but I've got no camera set up, so you're not really going to see anything. But it works fine. I've printed some of its own parts on it, and as you do, just to make sure everything is working okay. But yeah, that should be okay. So I'm just going to move this stuff down here out of the way, because I want to move on to talk now about the OSEQ sheet. So OSEQ, so they make PEI, I suppose it's their own PEI blend of sheet, and what that basically looks like is this. So this is what they call the OSEQ safe sheet, and this is the 120 version. So this is the one for the V0, and you sort of see some marks on there where I've used it. And normally, so I've used various different sheets, the ones that have come with kits and aftermarket ones, and me personally have not always had that much success with textured sides for ABS printing. I don't know what it is, it's just it doesn't always stick very well. And I know other people have had success with it, so you know, there's a combination of things. So when they asked if they could send me this over, I was curious to see if I was going to need anything else on there, because what I typically do is when I print ABS, I do it on the smooth side, and I have a layer of glue stick, and it works perfectly. So I was curious to know what this would work with, and I've not had to put anything else on this sheet. I gave it so I was advised to give it a really good clean when I took it out of the packaging, just with some IPA, like give it a clean, change the cloth or whatever, another go, so you really give it a good deep clean, and it's worked really well. You have to dial in your offset. It's not going to be just, you know, first go it's going to work perfectly, but once you've got that offset correct, it has worked on every ABS print I've done. So what, I got this before I built this one, so this was in the other V0, and this printed the majority of the pink parts for the other one, all on this sheet with no other adhesive. Basically, I'm not sure how to describe it. It's not smooth, and it's not the textured surface that you would sort of expect on some other sheets. It's not as coarse as that. I know Prusa has their satin sheet, but I don't think it's satin sheet either. It has got a texture to it, but it's not as coarse. So I've been printing with it, and the problem is, like, I don't really do videos. I don't like doing the videos part of YouTube. I prefer live stream, but I'm not sure really how to test it to show that it works. Like, you know, I could do a steep print, but I'm not sure how that really conveys because it's not a realistic part. So I don't know if Maple Leaf makers are still here, but so both of these V0s have got his stealth, or their stealth handle on printables, and they print at a 45 degree. I can't really show you, but that's got a relatively small surface area that will be in contact with the bed. They printed absolutely fine. The pink ones so the pink one has ASA. Yep, so he's still here, or they're still here. The pink one has Prusament ASA handles, and they were printed on here. And I have got a picture of that, so I can sort of include that if I do a video or do a social media post. But I'm not sure how to sort of show and tell you that it does what I'm saying it does, what I'm claiming it does, other than to say that I wouldn't be still printing it wouldn't be in the printer if it didn't work, is basically what I'm saying. And what it also does is it shows the oils on your fingers getting on the plate, which is a really good indication, because if you've got one of the gold shiny ones, you can't really see that you've been handling it and you've put finger marks all over it. So that contrast is a good way of letting you know you need to give this a clean. And so again, another product that has been sent to me, and actually I'm happy with. And I know, you might just think I'm saying that because I've been sent it, but believe me, there's no point in me saying, oh yes, great plate, go and buy it, and it don't work, because then that'll make me look like an idiot. But it does genuinely work for the stuff I've printed on it, which is PLA, ABS. I've used some Tolman Guideline, which was a clear, I'm not sure if it's a nylon as such, it might be just a copolyester. And I haven't got the print out, but I printed the clear bit for the display on the front where the LED goes, and that's quite a small part, and that stuck again perfectly. No brim, no extra adhesive liquid or glue or anything, so it's a nice plate. Having said that, there are some things I would like to see different about it. One, it's a 120 bed, right, which is fine. I'd prefer if it was a 125. If it was, so still label it 120, that's fine. That's saying it goes on a 120 build surface or a build volume. But having it just slightly wider means it's easier to put on the printer. And what I'd also like to see, so the Fysetc V0s have got the locating pins at the back of the bed. So if I get, that one hasn't, that's a different build surface. Let me, so this is the surface that came with the V0 Fysetc V0 kit, and you can see these little indents, and they're to locate into the pins at the back. I would really like to see that on this. So if they could make this, if they could make this in this form factor, winner. So in terms of overall size, they're not actually that different. Like the OSEQ sheet is a little bit deeper, but we don't have the locating pins, which this one has. So even though this is 120mm wide, we put it onto those pins, and it's always in the middle. It's always lined up. Whereas this one can actually slide about a little bit. So I would like to see them, and really those changes are only the steel bit. Their coating works really well. If they could just make it so it's more sort of not user friendly, but what's the term? Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, a little bit bigger, notches at the back, perfect. But yeah, so I've made that really dirty now, so that will need a clean before I use it, but it's a really nice sheet. I'll just put it in there for now. So another sort of go off a little bit onto another product. I've also got this one, which is not going to focus, but I will focus it so that you can see it. We'll go the right way. This is the PrintyPlease CatBed, and yes, the products that they sell are cat themed. So I haven't done much printing on this yet, only because I was testing the OSEQ sheet. But this is sort of a satin sheet, and I'm hoping to get some of the PrintyPlease ABS soon, called cat yarn, and apparently as a combination they are really fantastic. The cat yarn is incredibly good at sticking, and then obviously the cat bed will really help that. And if we actually look, if we compare the cat bed to the stock bed, you'll see that it's ever so slightly wider. So this one's wider, still hasn't got the notches in the back, so maybe that's something that Richard at PrintyPlease could look at. But because this one's a little bit wider, you've got that slight misalignment taken into account. So it's a little bit wider, but it's still a V0 bed. So yeah, that's beds sort of spoken about. If anyone's got any questions about any of that, let me know. I'm just gonna have a bit of tea. I've pressed the button, I don't know what it does. So yeah. So actually, while Maple Leaf Makers is still here, I was talking about, a second ago, I was talking about the filament sensor foot in the V0 and how it wasn't really working for me. And so that made me actually print another one of theirs, another one of their models on printables. And that's basically a replacement upper back panel. I think that's the right term. And that has filament, it's a filament inlet. So rather than going through the electronics bay and then out the top and round, you actually go in at the top at an angle, and that gives a nice filament path. Now I've just printed the one without a filament sensor, but you can get it with a filament sensor in, and I would definitely maybe lean towards that one. If you wanted a filament sensor, like if you don't want a filament sensor, don't worry about getting that specific one. So Graham has posted a question. Joined late, got a catless board from Fysetc, but trying to get any documentation guides is hopeless. The wiki on the link on the box doesn't exist. Does anyone got any extra information? So when I got my kit, I also had a few issues. Basically, I couldn't even get in. There you go. The URBI. What does URBI stand for? I'll let you tell me. I should look really. But to answer Graham's question, so I had some issues when I was when I first got the kit, and I was told there was going to be a couple of weeks from then until documentation is out. That obviously doesn't help you. All I can say that I know that it is being worked on, and I would hope that it would be out very soon. The next couple of weeks, I'm hoping. it would be nice if that information was out before the product got sold, and especially when you've got a wiki link that doesn't do anything. I would just search for Fysetc GitHub on Google, and that will bring up their GitHub. But yeah, as Richard also has pointed out, actually, now that the chat has moved along a bit, I can actually pin. No, I can't. It won't let me. There's a link higher up in the chat to the Fysetc Discord server. And there's people on there who've got the board, so we can obviously answer questions. I agree that it would be nice to have that documentation on there. But yeah, all I can tell you is that it is being worked on. I think, I believe it's Eli who is the person at Fysetc. I know he's working on the manual for it, because I think someone asked on their own live stream on Friday when Richard was on there. And I think he mentioned that he was doing that at the time. So, you know, they are definitely working on stuff. I can tell you that. But yes, there is some documentation on their GitHub. I'm just going to get you the link. Oops. I come back to the right window. So that is the Fysetc GitHub, and there is a Catalyst repository, and so it's called Catalyst Kit. So you've got some few bits of, pardon me, some software and some PDFs, pardon me, but there's no, like you say, there's no guide or anything like that. But that's the place to look when those do become available. So I think I'm going to move on to the next category I wanted to talk about, and that is CAN, as in the things that we put in our printers to simplify wiring and etc. etc. CAN. So I've got some CAN hardware. So, hi James, how you doing, mate? Oh, Dave, Fat Boy Sim. And I assume that's in reference to your racing sim setup. Nice to see you, Dave. So thanks. The GitHub page has a circuit, but that's only useful info. I can't do anything with it yet, so I'm waiting for the drivers. Okay. Yeah, so also go in, I would definitely, if you're on Discord or if you can sign up to Discord, go into their Discord server. If anything, that will at least give you the heads up when the documentation is out that you better get to it. So, start that audio going again. But yeah, so, and if you've got any questions, ask them in the Discord server, and myself or Richard, or there is another chap who's got the board, and Maple Leaf Makers have also got the board. They've got the kit. Check out their channel for a would you call it, an overview video that they recently did for the kit. So there's definitely people out there that can answer your question. So yeah, CAN. So I was lucky enough to win on a Steve build stream some hardware. So this is the EBB 2209, I think it is. And at the moment, it's just been sitting in a box. And the reason for that is because I don't want to stop a printer that works perfect. I'm really happy with, perfectly fine, to put CAN in. So but I have got a question about CAN, and that is, what do I need that's different from, obviously, Big Tree Tech have got a couple of 3D prints that are specific to this board for mounting, but is there a specific like stealth burner body I need to print, or is that already set up for these toolhead boards? Yeah, so Maple Leaf Makers is saying that a couple of the Voron devs, so yeah, Hardtech has probably got one. Catman's here. So Richard's saying, so right. So Catless board, Voron devs have got it, so they're going to be using it. They're going to be finding the bugs if there are any, etc. And then we get to CAN stuff. So Catman is saying if it fits into the standard stealth burner. So it's the EBB 2209, and it's just obviously a two-piece one. I assume it's got the same form factor as, or it's got the same mounting holes. But Richard is saying you'd need to print a new cover. Yeah, like the little gull wing door. I would recommend a remix with the fan. Yeah, so I don't know if it fits on this one, but I know Alex, there is someone who's done a cover with a fan in. That's something I'll have to look at. Thank you, Richard. My first time attending a live stream. Thank you for coming along. And if you haven't checked out Catman's Basement Workshop, you should definitely check it out. There's a lot of Voron specific videos on there that are incredibly helpful. So it's definitely worth a watch. I did not need to reprint any of the stealth burner. Yeah. I think it should just be a straight swap. If you've already got a tool headboard, you should be fine. But as Richard pointed out, it may be that it sticks out a little bit deeper, so it might need that new cover. And I know they've got a couple of prints that are more specific to do with going around the like the USB port and the CAN cable port. So I know they've got a couple of parts that go sort of around the USB-C port and the actual I don't even, is it an XT30 or whatever it's called? So I know there are some specific prints for that, but it was more to do with like it was more to do with the general stealth burner body itself. But I think that should be fine. So XT30 2+2, yeah. So as I was saying, I haven't fitted it because I'm reluctant to stop a printer that is working absolutely fine to then have to put this in. Plus, because it's the same as with the like if you were fitting a Kiriyami beg to a V0, it's a hell of a lot easier to do when you're building it. So I think CAN is going to wait until I build another printer. Now you can see some extrusions there. That is technically a Trident frame, but I sort of had a change of heart on the way I was going to go, so I'm looking at maybe getting another printer. Yeah, so Catman's saying either wait until you need to replace something because it's broken, and then in which case the printer's not working anyway, so you can put it in, or build a new printer. because we all know the correct number of printers is n+1. The only other question I had about CAN is the cable. I can see that this has got some twist in it because like you can see it through the plastic bit. But would I be right in thinking that this is not suitable to go in the cable chain? Can you show me the end of your cable? You have, is it this end you want to look at? Let me get it right close and then I'll that. No, the cable chain. But I ever placed the cable. So we want to see. What's the wire gauge on the black and red? Well, it's not written on it, so I'm not really good. Let's put the focus right. I'm not really good about to tell you that, unfortunately. No, I can't see a gauge written on it. Make Believe Maker saying it's fine, but I wouldn't call it a good fit. I think BTT actually does have a new CW2 multi-body cover, mid-body and cover to go with more space. Okay. Catman saying I found the cable works well, but I limit. Yeah, he got rid of the cable chains anyway. Rich is saying if you have the OG cable from they replaced it with a new one since launch. Yeah, so this was basically the one that came. I won that on Steve Build's live stream and then it was sent to me, so I don't know how old it is or anything. Lars is saying, have you got a U2C yet? So basically this is what I won, and then I decided that I would then get, because I assumed I needed it. I'll go back to perhaps why I didn't in a minute. Yeah, so I've got the UT2C, and then what I would plan to do, because I thought, right, well, if I'm gonna be putting a Big Tree Tech CAN board in, I want to also have a Big Tree Tech control board, and I already had an Octopus that I haven't been using for I haven't used it for ages, so I had an Octopus board as well. So that's why I was then thinking actually it'd be better to just do it for a new printer, and then I've got put all new stuff in it. So yeah, so I've got control board, U2C, and the CAN board. Many installed without UTC and using yeah. I'd read sort of from a few people that the CAN bridge wasn't as good as using a dedicated U2C board. This is my first experience with Clipper CAN. Obviously the tool changer, I've got RepRap firmware, and I've got CAN on that, and that is so easy. Like, it's literally put the firmware on, and that's as simple as actually doing it when it's plugged in, and then just running a command and then connecting them up, and it's done. Right, so easy. I posted tonight the U2C has been trouble free. I see fewer problems with it now than I did in the past, but I still avoid it. Is that CAN bridge? So better to go with the separate control thingy. Why is it you can never get these things back in the boxes? Try not to cram stuff in. Yes, avoid the bridge. yeah, so I haven't fully decided on so I want to build a trident, that's for sure, but I'm sort of in the middle of getting some idea of price for a kit or a partial kit, so that's sort of where that is. On the Spider 2.3, which is in that, I used the U2C. On the Spider 3.0, I used Cambridge for the past 3 months, ever since I got the beta board, and it's been trouble free. But seeing Cambridge on Gemini, yeah, I see why people don't like it. Yeah, so, you know, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like, what's the term? Like, your mileage may vary. Some people can put one piece of hardware in and it works perfectly. Someone else can put it in and they have nothing but trouble. So yeah, there's definitely options. You just bear with me a second. I'm just gonna grab a drink. So just bear with me a sec. Okay, I'm back. So yeah, just needed to grab a drink. So yeah, so I want CAN to happen and I want to use it because I think it's going to just make things a lot more simpler. Having said that, I've not had any trouble with the umbilical on 2.4, but I've got the stuff and I want to use it. So yeah, things are happening to make that work. I just wanted to get some insight into what is the best approach. So obviously Maple Leaf Makers is saying actually have a look for a mid-body, even though it would fit in a normal stealth burner, and we've sort of come to the agreement that U2C is the better option at the moment, which sort of does lead me on to my next topic, which was a trident. So I got a few bits on eBay to build a trident. The problem is it's a 250, which is not a problem in the sense of build volume, and actually it would make sense because I haven't got a lot of space in here. If anyone wants to buy an E3D tool changer, let me know. The problem is it's not easy to get 250 beds and heaters, because all of the kits, so Fysetc, LDO do a 250, Fysetc, Cybor, probably Blue Rolls, Formbot, all of them, they do 300 or 350, right? So they don't make 250 bed, because that would normally be the best place to get it from, because it could be cheaper. I did find a couple on AliExpress, but then I started thinking, by the time I get a bed, so a bed, a heater, that's like another 100 quid, 100 odd pound. Panels, I did not realise how expensive panels are, right? So that's like another 100 quid from some places. So my thought is I want to sell some stuff. I really wanted to get the tool changer, and I have done a few things with it. but there's just limitations of it, and it's not the, it's just so big. And if you just want to print one thing, or sorry, a one material thing, it's still a lot of faff to, and there's sort of inconsistency with it, and it's so. My idea is to sell the tool changer either as a complete tool changer. I've had no interest so far, or sell it as a motion system, which is how I bought it originally. So I didn't buy it new. I bought a motion system that someone was selling without electronics, because I had a Duet 3 to put in it. So I then, each one of, so the tools in mine are not the standard E3D tool changer tools. No, that's a lie. They are, but I didn't buy them from them, is what I should say. So Lars is saying I'm building a 2.4. I got my bed and heater from Fermio. Yeah. So like I say, I did find some places, but it just, I think, is there, I want to say Magic Studios. I'm sure that's a vendor on Discord, Voron Discord. They've got a bed and a heater, or a bed, and I can get a heater from somewhere, so I can get the bits. It just wasn't as, there wasn't as many options as there were if I was to build a 300 or a 350. Then you've got loads of choice, like nearly every, like even the stores in the UK don't have a 250. And if I wanted to get a Canevo bed, it's always better to buy directly from them, from what I've been told. But that's quite expensive for just the heater. So yeah, the Trident, for one, will be a live stream thing, a build. So regardless of what route I go down, it's going to be a project, a lengthy project. So it could be that I do end up going with my 250 parts, and we get to the heater and everything later on. Well, obviously we'll need it, but I haven't got to get it now to build the kit, to build a printer. Obviously there's the three main sizes for the Vorons, and by far I think the 300 is the more popular, with then the 350 being the next popular and the 250 being the least, from what I see. Personally, I think a 350 is too big, would be too big for me for in here. The 300 Trident, 300 2.4 is really nice size. I can get a good amount on the build plate in one go, so it's fine. Yeah. But because, I mean, you can't see it, but literally right here is my laser cutter. Now, if I could move that to the other side of the garage, so that's literally, I'm touching, there is the laser cutter, and then I'm touching, there is the wall. If I could put it on the other side, I'd gain some space. But when the kits appear, you could get a 250, but not anymore. Yeah, so I think the only people, and this might have changed, LDO, I know Chris from Chris's Basement is building a 250 LDO Trident kit. As far as I'm aware, they're the only ones who do a kit, and they also do the cubed kit, which is, so a 300 is 300 all round, a 350 is all round, 350 all round. Because every other Trident kit, they're all 250Z. So, there is differences out there. But like you say, it's a lot harder to get a 250 kit with everything in. The only I kind of regret bidding on the stuff, the Trident stuff I got, it was. Would I consider it cheap? I think it was a good price for what I ended up getting. I didn't take into account the other stuff that I needed to get, because I've kind of got, like, I haven't got to get a control board. I've got that. Do you need panels? You could get away without it for the time being. So that's, so it's really only the heater and the bed I need to get to do it, because I've got a frame, linear rails, stepper motors. I'll be printing the parts myself. I've got the electronics. I've got a power supply. I can do all the wiring. I've got all the connectors. It's literally bed and the heater would be the first thing that would hold up the build. But I'm weighing up the options in terms of getting a kit rather than self-source, but we'll see. There's also the fact that I want to get, so Richard, I hope he's still in the chat, but so Richard's on a number of Discord servers the same as me, and Richard's just got himself a 350 2.4, and he's already got a Trident, he's already got a V0. I'm trying to get all the Vorons before he does, so I need to get a Trident. What we ought to do, Richard, so once I've got my Trident, and once you've built your 2.4, we should do a dual stream. He's got a switch wire as well, damn it. We ought to build a legacy online, on stream, the both of us. And then we would have all the kits. We'd have all the Voron, apart from obviously the V24 and the Voron kit. So the ones that we can get now, let's make sure we don't back ourselves into a corner. I'm looking forward to watching Steve Builds do his V24. That'll be good. If you watch Steve Build, you would have seen probably a couple of months ago now on one of his streams, and I forget which one, but he compared build plate sizes to show you how big. I'm just going to move forward a bit so I'm in the light. He compared print plates. So Richard's is going to do a V24 for work, not at home, because he's like me, he ain't got the space. But yeah, Steve compared build plates, and the V24 is just so funny. It's huge. But yeah. See, I've probably mentioned this on streams before. I like building printers. Like, it's like growing up, I had the Lego and the Mechanos and the Kinects or whatever they were called. I like building things. That becomes a problem when you have too much stuff. Like, there's 4 printers behind me. I've got another V0 up on the shelf. I've got the thing-o-matic that I bought. I bought it because it was a thing-o-matic and it was cool. Maybe next stream, right? So I want to try and do a stream every Sunday, regardless of whether I've got like a major project to do. Maybe next week we'll get the thing-o-matic down and you can hear how loud it is, because it is horrendous. I've then got another wooden printer bot over there, so there's like these printers everywhere. And I need to start selling some stuff. The problem is the second-hand market for any printers is horrendous, because you can buy a brand new, I'm not going to, no brand names, but an i3 clone for, in some cases less than 100 quid. So why are you going to buy a second-hand one? You're not, are you? But I need to try and get rid of some stuff. I might even sort of try and contact some colleges or makerspaces and see if they want the tool changer. Because if you know, it is a really nice machine. It's a top end machine. You know, it's got quality components, but it's not the sort of thing you need to use daily. It's really not, unfortunately. You know, and no disrespect to E3D as a whole, they don't, like, they've discontinued it. It's not their main area of focus, and I don't think it ever was, unfortunately. Because even the documentation is not great, and like you know, someone on the E3D Discord server recently got a tool changer, brand new one, so they just bought one, and the config on the Discord is wrong. Like, and we know it's wrong. It's been wrong for ages because they changed the hardware, but they haven't updated the config, right? So it is a great machine, and I think definitely Prusa has obviously seen what has come before it and have made their tool changer, but Prusa are going to support theirs, and they're going to develop it, and you know, that's the tool changer to get, really, if you want a tool changer. You know, if you want a very high quality, and it's all like the joke is on the server, it's a research platform. If that's what you want, then the E3D tool changer is for you, because that is a quality machine. It's got high wind rails. Mine's got Duet 3 hardware, which is really nice. This one's currently got 2 Chimeras Revos. You know, it's got a 7-inch touchscreen at the front. It is really nice, but not a daily driver. Not like the Vorons I have behind me, you know, and they're at the point where I can literally just turn them on, you know, slice the file, send it, and I know I'm getting a print out of it. I know it's just going to work. Let's try and think of some other topics we could talk about. So we've done the V0, done OSEQ, done CAN, done Trident. Trying to think if there's anything really else that's sort of thing at the moment within 3D printing that perhaps I want to talk about. I'm not going to touch on the bamboo stuff because I haven't got a bamboo and there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, so what should we talk? Anyone else got any questions or things they want to talk about? A project I would like to get back to is now I've got to try and think what I call it the right thing. Is it the pet one? I can't remember, but it's I think the guy is called Josh, and he took I can't remember which printer it was, but the one I use spare parts, but it's basically to turn PET 1 soda bottles, so plastic bottles, and you actually put it into filament, into a type of filament, because what it actually does, it doesn't melt it and reform it. What it actually does is that the thing up there, I'll get it down, I'll talk to you about it. What it actually does, it cuts the bottles into strips, like I think they're about 8 to 10 mil strips, and then what this does, it passes it through a slightly modified hot end, and it warms it up to a high enough temperature that it can form it into basically a hollow strand. Let me get it down. Let me turn it around for you. So yeah, this is it basically. So this is the end that you would feed in this bottle, and there's another bit that sits on here, which is the sort of integrated cutter, which has got what it actually does is it uses some bearings, whoops, that you put a sharp edge on. So you've got two bearings that are stacked on top of each other, and that actually cuts the plastic bottle. Really clever. Show you that in a second. So what you do is basically feed it through this modified hot end, and this is just like a pretty standard Ender 3, original Ender 3 hot end. You've got the nozzle's got like a 1.6 to 1.7 mil hole in it, and the hot end basically go up. I think it's haven't used it for such a long time, but say it's 260, I can't remember, but it's hot enough to not melt it, but what it does, it forms it into this hollow tube. And I have actually printed with it, like the gears at this end, they're printed out of a bottle, not the big one, the ones on the stepper motor. Just about see them. So that, you know, it's a fun little project. Really, it is really cool, and it is something that I'd like to get back to. I actually had to rob, so I used spare parts to build it, and then I had to rob parts back off it when I was putting a printer back together to sell away. And this is actually something I designed for, there was a printables contest. Can't get this out now. So, if I can work out how to get this out. No. So basically, got our LCD at the front. Okay. And then for the printables contest, it was like, I think it was called like the knobs contest or whatever. You had to design basically a control knob to go on the LCD. So I made an adapter that screws into a bottle top. So you can reuse even the bottle top, the cap. It'd be good if I could get this out and show you. Let me put this down. There we go. So basically all it is like a threaded adapter. So that's obviously the end that goes on your LCD, and then it's just a thread that goes into the bottle. Really cool. So, you know, I've got plenty of things I could do on stream, and it's just a matter of me getting my arse in gear and doing it, really. So this is definitely something we could look at. I could get some bottles ready, and we could make filament on stream, and then even put it through a printer so you can sort of see it does actually work. You have to get that thing-o-matic out next stream, because that is the only problem with it is having an old enough or a compatible slicer to actually work with it. And I'd always thought about, at the moment I've kept so excuse me, I've kept it as it is, because it's like a bit of history in 3D printing, so I've kept it as it is. But it would be like Mandic really did with his. I can't remember what he did it with. He took an old printer and brought it into the modern age, or more modern, you should say. So it would be kind of cool to do that. To put some updated electronics in it. And put a clipper on it, because it's obviously, I don't know if you don't know, maybe you don't know what the thing-o-matic is. We'll look at it in the next string. I won't get it down now. But it's the first belted printer, if you want to call it that. It's not really, but it's got a conveyor belt, or a build platform with a captain loop. Basically what it can do, the belt doesn't move during printing, so it can't do infinite Z, is what it would be, but you can do like sequential, so you could print one thing and then move the conveyor belt along so it comes off, and then do another thing and keep doing that. But because the software is so old and there's no real compatible slicers, that doesn't really work. Like, I can print on it, and I have printed on it, and I can then, after that's done and finished, I can send a command to move the conveyor. But it'd be really cool if we put some modern electronics in there and we could actually get all of that to work seamlessly. So yeah, I've got so many little, like I say, because I like making things, that's why there's like just these random things around that some people have never heard of, or have heard of but wouldn't necessarily provide any use to them. Put that down. But I do them because I think they're cool. I haven't got the oh, no book. So I don't think there's many people still watching, but I'm happy to have a little ramble for a little while. What else could we talk about? I could do some shameless plugs of some of the things I've been working on. Richard's the only one here. Richard doesn't sleep, it seems. I don't think there's only been a few occasions where I've looked to see if you're online and you haven't been. We could talk about Smurf, because I know Richard has mentioned to me that he's going. Oh, it's not even 10 PM. That's alright. I thought it was going to be like stupid late over there. So yeah, I don't want to commit myself to going or not going yet, but for events that are, let me get a little bit closer. For events that are local, shall we say, for 3D printing, I think it's definitely going to be the one to be at this year. PCT is great, but I personally feel it's a business thing. TCT is very businessy, I felt personally, and I don't think there was the 3D Meetup UK. That sort of maybe happened once or twice, and then COVID and things just fizzled out. It'd be really nice to see that come back. And then obviously we're going to have Smurf, the first one this year, and then hopefully that will be an ongoing thing. So if you're watching this and you don't know, you just think I'm talking about the Smurfs. I'm not. I'm talking about the Sanjay Mortimer Rep Rap Festival. So you probably would have heard of the East Coast Rep Rap Festival and the Midwest Rep Rap Festival. They're in the US, and so this is one that sort of is set up by the Sanjay Mortimer Foundation, have in the UK basically, and I think it is going to be really good, and it's just me not committing at the moment. So I'm on the east coast of the UK, and it's not that far. It's about 3 hours away. It's not that bad, you know. It's a there and back sort of thing in a day. But I'd probably, because it's on the weekend, it just makes it more expensive, and it's in Oxford, and that makes it even more expensive. But you know, where else would you have it? That's the thing. The only problem with sort of any UK events is they are very they're in central UK, which is like Birmingham area. So like TCT, 3D Meetup UK, we're in that sort of area. You know, anyone above and below that, it's a bit of a drive for them. I think last time I looked, you know, there was a cheap hotel not that far. The only problem with hotel, because in Oxford, the only problem with hotels, of what I can see, is car parking situations. Like, I'm gonna have to drive there. There's no other way around it. But I then need somewhere to park my car, and most hotels either don't have a car park, or that's another paid expense on top of the hotel price. What I might look at is like a hotel that's maybe even halfway between here and there for me, so I can stop out on the way back, just so that I haven't got like I haven't got to do a 6-hour drive in one day sort of thing. Where will you be coming from, Richard, when you go? Because obviously you're in China at the moment. Kent. Tunbridge Wells in Kent. So that's sort of the other, the almost like the opposite side of London to Oxford. Is that right? Sort of. Kent's down, isn't it, from me? Yeah, near Gatwick. So I think you can get a bus from Gatwick. I think from Heathrow and Gatwick, from the airports. The only problem with this camera is that so on my screen at the moment I've got basically the OBS software, so I'm watching me so that I can read chat, but then I'm not looking at the camera. Probably drive. Yeah. So I know, I mean, on the Voron, I am pretty much in the Voron Discord or other Voron related Discords, but the Voron specifically, I know there's a lot of people from the Brexit channel who are planning to go. I'm not 100% sure if it's happening, but I think there's going to be a table for a few of those people to have a printer on. But there's a lot of sponsors already sort of got to be there. I think Voron themselves have got a table. I'll be honest, the only reason that I would want to go is actually to see people, rather than just have a look at more 3D printers. That's just like temptation. But I would really love to meet Chris Riley from Chris's Basement. Really would love to meet him. Steve Bills, obviously. Richard's going. Got to meet Richard. So it would definitely be the meeting up part of it, rather than the is another 3D printer and whatever. It's just a good excuse to get there. So Richard is saying, it's on the side, but you can read it. Maybe Emma going. So I assume that's Emma from. So Emma is the marketing manager, international marketing manager for Cybor. I assume that's who he's talking about. So again, so there's all these people that I wouldn't normally have the opportunity to see. Oh, so Lars is saying he understands the Voron 24 will be there. Now that is going to be some hefty thing to ship. What would be, I'll tell you what would be really good actually, and you know, we're like 4 months away. Yeah, 4 months away, about 4 months away. They had the plans out, the kits, or not necessarily kits, but the documentation, the parts and everything out. So if they could build one at SMRRF, that would be really good, rather than the original. Because I know, you know, we're saying there's going to be a Voron V24. It's not going to be the Voron 24, but a version of. That would be really good. I was trying to persuade Zoo. I'm not sure how to pronounce their name. So Richard's trying to persuade the owner of Cybor 3D printers to let the market manager go. Well, I'm telling you, like, you've got to be at these events in terms of business related things. You know, you got to be at these events to make those connections. You know, like we can all send emails, right? But if Emma wants to talk to Chris Riley from Chris's Basement about building a printer, you meeting him in person, that's the way to do it, isn't it, really? Even if it's just an introduction. And that goes for anyone. Yeah. Obviously Steve Builds is going to hopefully be there. I know he's spoken about it, but it's the problem with a lot of these things is just the international travel. You know, and that's the same for if we were to go over to any of their ones. Oh, I think my audio's stopped again. Hold on. So I'm playing these audios in the background. That will get me loads of copyright claims, but I'm not making any money off this anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so it would be really good if they could get someone out there. That's all I'm going to say. I'm a bit jealous of you, Richard, and I know Sophie had been over to their Sophie went to the Fysetc office because you posted about it on the Discord, and I know you had recently been there. You know, so I'd really like to be able to go and visit somewhere like that, because it, like I say, it's doing that meeting up in person thing is a lot different and a lot more meaningful than going via an email or any sort of message system. So I was a bit jealous of having the fact that you had got to go there and see all of their stuff. Pretty cool. You know, and I've met a few people from, say, E3D before, but I've never been to E3D's headquarters. Something I was trying to not set up, that's the wrong word, but something I was sort of trying to encourage to happen is that you might be aware of Protopasta. In the past, Protopasta filaments, they've done this thing where people have been able to pay and go to their production place and actually make a custom filament. And I've tried to convince a couple of UK manufacturers to do that because I think that would be so cool, even just to see the process, but to then also use colorants and stuff to make your own filament, even, and you know, there's only ever going to be like 1 or 2 spools of it, like it's never going to be made again. It'd be so cool to do that. Like, I think it is still available, but I've got some Tom Sandalara filament from Das Filament up there. I never opened it. Like, it's a little keepsake sort of thing. I might sort of try and nudge a couple of the manufacturers again. So, from what I understand, I know of 3 places. 3. Yeah, so there's one in Scotland, where I used to buy filament from for when I sold filament. There's 3D Tomorrow, who does sort of a couple of other bits, and then there's Filamentive that does PLA. They make their PLA, but I think they buy in their other stuff. Precision projects. I'm working on eSun. Hopefully, if I nag. So this is like, I can't see all the rest of your comment because this stupid thing in the way. If I nag for a year, they'll let me go. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not necessarily saying like I want to on my own go. I'm thinking of having, if they was to allow this event to happen, so you'd have to pay, right? You'd have to pay to come and visit, but you then basically come away with, say, 2 spools of your own filament. Like, so it's more of a workshop type thing rather than just a visit. All right, Richard, don't rub it in. eSun are just down the road from him. Okay. But yeah, like, because I know there's a few people who've done it. Yeah, I just think that would be really cool. I suspect what's actually the issue is more to do with like insurance. I don't know how it works in the US, but it's probably a logistical, financial nightmare for a UK company to say, "Oh, I'm just going to have these people, these random people off the street, come in and be around all my machinery." I suspect that's probably what the main issue is, and that's absolutely fair enough. But if I could nudge them into that area, that would be so cool, I think. I'd rather make a filament than a beer. Yeah. But the problem is that you can't do, like, a beer doesn't happen sort of the same day, does it? You know, I don't think it would have to ferment, whereas filament can be done in the day. You can put your colorants in and extrude it and spool it, and it's done in the same day. I'm going to make myself a note to perhaps explore that a bit more. Just nudge some people in the right direction. As I know, I'm not sure if it was last year that E3D did their auction thing, and I don't know if that's going to be part of Smurf as well, but that was at their HQ. So, you know, I didn't go. I did bid online, didn't win anything, but so there's always opportunity. They do have occasional opportunities to have that opportunity to go there, but I didn't. So So, has anyone in the chat? Oh no, there's probably only two of you talking, and I don't know if Lars is still here. Has anyone ever met any YouTube celebrities, 3D printing YouTube celebrities, or any celebrity? Yeah, so Richard's met Scotty from Strange Parts. The next layer coming to China next week. Yeah, not too bothered about that. Meeting with a bunch of the companies out there. Precision Projects saying they also met Scotty. This is very Doom-esque, this music. I don't know what sort of audio level you're getting that at, but I can hear it quite well. So, very low in a nice way. Okay. So obviously Richard's in China. Precision Projects, you're in Australia, is that right? I've been to Australia. I'm in the UK. Lars, if you're still here, where are you? I went to Perth when I went to Australia, by the way. Lars is in Denmark. Richard's not a fan of Perth. No VIP makers there. Where is not Practical Printing, what's his name? Or is it Practical Printing? John. Where is he? Is he in the Netherlands? Might be in the Netherlands. So the reason I went to Australia, yeah, proper printing, that's it. The reason I went to Australia is because a friend of mine who I knew from high school moved to Australia and went to Perth. He was an engineer, so I can't remember. He had various different jobs when he was there, but Lars, is there any plans for you to come to Smurf? Because even travelling from Europe is a little bit of a trek, isn't it? Yeah, Swedish maker meetup, yeah. I think as long as there's events in the places that they need to be for everyone, no plans for Smurf. Understandable. I would have gone to Smurf if I hadn't already on a trip to China this year. I haven't even got a passport, so I can't go anywhere. I haven't renewed it. How is good luck renewing it? Yeah. Probably won't bother, to be honest. Apparently the wait time is crazy at the moment. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get into a rant, but for a country that is apparently hard up and people can't afford things, a lot of people going on holiday. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, just put myself in a box and ship myself somewhere. What was I about to say? I was going to say something, but I've forgotten. No, forgot. Dropped, held by customs, lost in transport. I don't know if I want to talk about this or not, but so I ordered some samples from a Voron related product. One was shipping from the US, one was shipping from Germany. They're in that box behind me. They literally came the next day. One was FedEx, one was DHL, I think. They came the next day. Like, that is crazy. Or was it, might have been the day after, but like, I ordered, say, 10 o'clock on one day, and they were delivered before 12 o'clock either the next day or the day after. How is that even possible? Leak, leak, leak. If you look hard enough, you can find the link that I used to acquire the samples. Let's put it like that. There's some special stuff going on in the Voron's Discord. In Perth, we get stuff from Shenzhen. That's pretty good. I like to try and group my purchases, and then also use like the 2-week delivery thing, so that I can get like 4 or 5 different things from different sellers all coming together in like I say 2 weeks. But most of the time less than that. Like UPS, they have their own airplanes, etc. Ah, yeah, that would make sense. And I suspect, I mean, who I'm not, again, I can't remember the channel name, but there was some guy who sent some air tags via different postal services. He was trying to get it to go to North Korea, and the amount of parcels that just are transported daily is horrendous. So it wouldn't surprise me if they've all got their own airplanes and stuff. All right, Richard. I tend to bulk order from, and ship together. When I order from AliExpress, the 2-week delivery is 4 or 5 days. Yes, mega lag. That's it. Yeah, that was very interesting sort of series of videos he did about that. Because he even went to the DHL sorting place, I think, and like, because he then also sort of expanded the videos into how things were lost and sort of travelled literally around the world to get to somewhere that was relatively close, like, and backwards and forwards and stuff. If you want to know what I ordered for samples, so I suspect most of us who have built a Voron 2.4 or a Trident have used the non-bomb power inlet and switch. But I've got some switches, bomb switches, and the filtered power inlet. So they can go in the next Voron build. And I may even just, that's right, the TE samples. And also I got the SSR as well. Mine are in cut, ready to order. Yeah, I didn't want to push my luck on getting too many samples, and I know a couple of other people did. They ordered some samples just to do it anyway, to try it. The PT100,000s are pretty good. I use them for custom hot ends. So yeah, I like I say, I just ordered the 3 things that I have found the link for, and ordered them. In the past I've had some microfit connectors as well, samples, and I've had some heat press insert samples from Tapex. They do heat press insert samples. My only concern with so many people doing it, I mean, they're probably not even going to notice, but I think when I did mine, like 2 or 3 other people did it the same day. So you've got to be a little bit careful, because if they catch on, it's like they're just going to not bother. Yeah. But I mean, they know that samples go out that are... My reason for getting them is purely because I have no experience with them compared to what we have been, or what I've had in kits, in terms of the IEC socket. So it would be genuinely interesting to know what advantage these ones from the bomb actually have. And so if someone says to me, oh, what socket should I get? At the moment I just say get this one that's in here because it works. But if the filtered ones genuinely work better, and I know there's some messages go backwards and forwards in the Cyborg server about some people having some issues with the socket, and I don't know if that was more due to local weather conditions that had occurred or what, but the filtered ones may have served them better. So at least if I've tried them and have seen that they do anything different, there's something you can recommend. I wouldn't have got them, like I could have got them ages ago, but I didn't. But because I potentially have got another build coming up, I would put them in that next one. Oh yeah, I know what I was going to say. How far have you got now with your 0.2? I did dip into the stream a little bit. How's your 2.4 going, Richard? Finished about an hour ago. Is it finished as in you're done, it's now printed, or not necessarily printing, but is wired, ready to go? Printing, nice. Is it a ding ding? The fuck's a ding ding? I'm waiting on a few bits and bobs. I have a fitted socket on my 350 for a year now. No issues so far. Can't say if it's better or not. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's unless there's a reason for it to show that it does something different, you're not going to know if it does anything different. I suspect if we sort of had some sort of test equipment that we connected up to it, we would see a difference, but I'm not sure. I haven't got that and I wouldn't know what that is, but yeah, which I actually have now. But I want to take it so I do a really good job. Fysetc gave me a bunch of rails, so I might swap out. Yeah, gotta get a ding ding. Gotta get a picture of a ding ding. Don't know if I want a picture of a ding ding. Currently doing reverse electronics on the 2.0 on the Trident. Yeah, I would definitely recommend the rock and roll mod for the 2.4. That's really useful because there's no way that I'm tipping that thing up and putting it on its side or upside down to go in the bottom. Whereas the rock and roll mod, I can just pull it forward, tip it back, and it rests on the feet, and it's fine. And I can take the bottom panel off. Although I would say if you've got an enraged robot carrot feeder on the top, don't do that because it's just enough weight. There's just enough weight in that ERKFA to actually tip it. But if you haven't got anything on top, it will work fine. I've rock and roll printed on the Trident. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, but I put them on the 2.4. Okay. Okay. I'll repeat. Received a picture of a ding ding. I don't print such things on my printers. I hope that was live streamed as well, that print. Oh, I know another thing we can talk about actually. So I wanted to put a camera in my 2.4. Actually, let me reverse. I wanted to put a camera in my laser cutter so that I could use light burn and the image thing, so you can place your vectors onto your actual material. And where did I put them? So I got a cup. No, not that box. That one. So I got a couple of cameras off AliExpress. I've got the mount for it as well, but I wasn't sure which one to use. And so I got a, I don't think they actually tell you on here. I think I got a 60 degree and 120 degree. That's just these really tiny little cameras. So I might try and put one of these in. Well, I've got to put one in here, in the laser cutter and in the printer. That's another thing I can do on a live stream. It was live streamed, excellent. I'm sure the comments were very grown up. Has anyone used those sort of cameras before? They're like, I don't know what you'd call them. Yeah, just like the PCB things. How much effect does this turn on this light off have? Quite a lot. Are they the same ones as the angle cam? I have no idea what the angle cam is. I think seen a mount for them that on Voron Discord somewhere. So it might well be the angle cam, I'm not sure. Sort of. Trying to find a picture. Yeah, so the one that I'm looking at on the Voron mods site has got an LED on as well. This one doesn't have that. This is just the actual camera. Although that is a pretty good idea. Although that's got LEDs in anyway, so. So I know I've seen a lot of people with. That's the word I was looking for. The USB laptop type cameras. I've seen a few people in the Brexited channel and the Garbage Patch. Their cameras have been affected by the chamber heat, but it's weird. I think it was Alex who posted the picture, and I think he restarted the service for the camera, so it had gone sort of a greeny pinkish colour, but a restart fixed it. So it's weird. It's obviously the sensor goes weird, and then it needs either like a reboot or something to fix it. So I'm not sure how much effect being in a chamber will have. Like I say, I primarily bought them for the laser cutter, and whichever one works best out of those two angles will go in the laser cutter, and the other one will go in the printer. I've got people sending me messages. Just got a message from someone else. Yeah, the only camera that I've ever had in a printer was the Raspberry Pi cameras. I had one in my V0 that's up on the shelf, and then I'm not sure if it's still in the tool changer, but I had one in the tool changer as well. Because typically, if I want to check, I'm not necessarily looking at the print itself. I'm more interested in monitoring the printer, and I've got one of those 360-degree cameras on the on the ceiling, so I can look at the printer. Like if it's on flames, then I know there's a problem, but I'm not specifically looking at the print. But because I bought two different angle cameras, I thought, oh, I'll try one in the printer. Someone else has ordered some samples. Well done. I've never actually used any temperature sensor other than a thermistor. The only I think the thing-o-matic has got a thermocouple, but that's the only other thing. So I don't really understand necessarily the point of these PT100s and PT1000s. Is it more to do with just how accurate and quick they are, or? Just gonna open this door a bit, let a bit of air in. My sticker door, by the way. BT100 seems a waste of time. BT1000 use, not sure why. Rich has just been influenced by other people to buy stuff. Consistency is the big thing. All PT1000s should read within 0.5% or something like that of each other. PT1000s I use as I use them. Means I can copy a profile from one machine and it'll perform at the same other. Okay. See, again, I don't temperature tower filaments at all. Like, I genuinely look at a spool and it says, oh, the range is 190 to 230. So I go bang in the middle and I just print. Like, I don't bother doing anything different. I suppose in terms of a PID tune, then knowing that two sensors in two different hot ends are going to be very accurate to each other, you can use the same calibration. A 3950, for example, would be 5 to 10% tolerance depending on quality. I don't temp tower or anything either. Oh, so yeah, so you're talking about the PID tune of an actual hot end, because you've got two of the same sensor in, you know that their accuracy is going to be better, so you don't have to do that, which is fine, I suppose, if you're. But the time it takes to do a PID tune is like negligible, is it really? But I suppose if you just want to quickly swap out things and do stuff, it makes sense. For me, it's mostly the properties of the material it's dyed into. Here I don't copy. Okay. Layer adhesion is a big thing on most of the parts I do. Yeah, again, I don't. Yeah, I think if I've ever had a part that has had poor layer adhesion, it's more likely that I've not printed it in the environment that it needed to be printed in. Like, so I've printed hips before, but not perhaps in the way that I should have done, and that the layer adhesion was shit. Layer adhesion is a big. Did anyone see the Modbot video today? Are you talking about the bed temperature one? Oh yeah, you are. About the bed temps, yeah. I mean, I would have thought that would have been. I'm surprised by the difference that he saw between requesting 100 and got like to a maximum of like 83, but we know that the temperature sensor is connected directly to the heat bed, so the temperature on the top is not going to be the same anyway. It was just how big that tolerance was. 5% tolerance on a 300 C part is 15 degrees. I mean, if anything, his video highlighted the fact that the Voron people, we know that we heat soak our printers anyway. Yeah, it was quite a considerable gap. One of the V0 on the shelf, the thermostat actually died in the heat pad, so I drilled a hole into the actual aluminium bed, so I now get a more accurate temperature. So I'm getting the temperature of the aluminium bed rather than the heat pad. Yeah, it would be interesting to see. I think if you was to do a more thorough, and not to say that Daniel's video wasn't thorough, but to do like a half an hour, 45 minutes, hour heat soak to see if the actual chamber temperature helped with the overall temperature of the bed, if that made a difference as well. Have you seen those sandwich beds, the ones where they clamp the heater with spring steel and the thermostat in a cartridge clamp in the middle? I've not seen that. Ones where they clamp the heater with spring steel and the thermostat is a cartridge clamped to the middle. Yeah, I would imagine they are expensive, yeah. But I think it's just the nature of the heat pad that we use, where the thermostat is attached literally to the heater. When you're never going to get a particularly accurate temperature of something 6 millimeters away through aluminium and through spring steel and a magnet. So I wonder if actually, so I haven't really done a lot of testing on the bed in the V0, but the thermostat's actually in the bed, and when I've taken the spring steel sheet off after a print, it feels noticeably hotter than on another printer. So I'm suspecting it's actually a more realistic, more true temperature to what I've asked for. But I've only done that because the thermistor in the pad broke and I didn't want to take the heated pad off the aluminium. But that is a very good, it was an interesting video, which, as you say, Richard, the gap between what he asked for and what he actually got was quite large. I think we were on Chris's Basement stream yesterday when he was building his Trident. There was some discussion around printed parts and temperatures in chambers and stuff. And I think Steve was saying that at one of his Tridents, like he was getting 70-degree chamber temp. So that's got to have an impact on the temperature of the bed as well, surely. Is that the edge to edge heater? I mean, you could buy those, so it's not. I think where LDO steps up a little bit more in their kits compared to others is that they've brought things together that you can buy, which you may choose to buy if you had the choice. Then they also obviously put the heater on the bed, and I don't know if they do it with the edge-to-edge ones, but I know for the V0s they put the RTV around it as well, which is a nice thing to do. When I was looking for beds on AliExpress the other day for a potential Trident build, you can obviously buy the 2.4 Trident universal bed, so it's got just the little cutouts where it needs to, and most of those were edge-to-edge beds, because they can obviously go, they can just have the cutouts where they need to, two on the sides, two on, you know where they are. And so they haven't got to worry about having it smaller to clearance of those holes. I struggle with the value proposition. Yeah, which I've mentioned that on streams before, and with particularly this Fysetc kit, I've managed to point to it. The cables are literally all done, right? It's not like they've included some cable and some connectors, so you've got the stuff. The cables are literally all done, and so that is a true kit that you have everything in the box you need, basically, obviously apart from the printed parts. And although I think they do them for the V0 but not for their other printers. Sidewalls are universal but not edge to edge, sadly. So the heater I've got in my 2.4 is not a universal one, but my kit was probably like 2 years ago now. Well, I don't know, maybe about 2 years ago. But that's one of the things I like about Sidewall, is that they are definitely happy to listen to the feedback, and they are definitely happy to make the changes where they need to. I mean, so when I was saying a universal, I mean literally the heater is big enough to go edge to edge on your aluminium plate, right? But a 2.4 has holes on the 2 on the front, 2 on the back, whereas a Trident has 2 on the side and 1 on the back. So what they've done is they've got cutouts for all of them on the heat pad. So it doesn't matter if you're buying it for a 2.4 or for a Trident, it will work. So that's what I mean by universal. Whereas the bed on my 2.4 is just a square, but it's not edge to edge. So it was never in the way of a hole. Yeah, mine was not. I'll have a look and see how far away from the edge it actually is. Yeah, so the bomb bed is, so a 300 is 250, a 350 is 300, and a 250 is 200, so there's always a gap. Yeah, so Precision Projects is saying they're universal but they're not edge to edge. And I RTV'd mine as well. And I RTV'd the thermal fuse on as well. I'm personally not, I don't like the thermal fuse built into the heater. I'd rather that was a separate thing. So that's just me. like, as I always says, everyone's got opinions. Everyone's welcome to their opinions. So just because I don't think something works doesn't mean it doesn't work. Need to buy RTV. The sideboard magnet was 468 MP adhesive, but the bed was mystery adhesive. The two V0s here, I attempted to RTV one, and it just, for some reason, it wasn't sticking as well as I was probably a bit impatient with it. It wasn't sticking to the aluminium. So both these V0s aren't RTV'd around the edge, but the thermal fuse is RTV'd to the heater pad. Once I've run, I mean, the middle one I've run a few hundred hours through it, and I do check the heated pad to make sure it's not coming off. Yeah, that is a good point. I suppose if there's been a need for the thermal fuse to go, would you want to continue using it? That is a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. I still would rather have it separate, but I can imagine some people doing that. Yeah. And I suppose with it having it integrated, that's taking a step away that an error can be made. So maybe the same people that clean their linear rails with gasoline. Yeah. So, like I say, my opinion doesn't mean the way something's being done is wrong. It may well be that it's being done the best way for the situation it's being used. Because if someone hasn't got to worry about where does this thermal fuse go, how do I connect it to anything, then they're more likely not use it incorrectly. Like I've seen thermal fuses that are just dangling there. They're just not attached to anything. It's wired in, but it's not doing anything. It's not gonna go. So at least by having it in the pad, thermal fuse goes between the two port. No, that doesn't go anywhere near the 24 volt. The thermal fuse goes between the 240 line and the 24 volt. No. 24 volt doesn't go anywhere near the thermal fuse. It goes between one line of the 240 volt line to blow if it needs to. I'll be back in a minute. VPN is being weird. Alright, Richard. I might just finish it at about 4 o'clock, so if I'm gone by the time you come back, that's why. I've got about 5 minutes. Oh. Yeah. I just want to make sure if someone's reading that they don't interpret that as not a joke. So I was thinking this the other day. Although I would be a miracle if any of my printers worked if I'd done that. While I'm a big, what's the word? Big fan, big promoter of, I think using the word cheaper kits is wrong. I think the whole less expensive kit compared to, say, I think a kit that's more accessible because of its price isn't necessarily a good thing. The problem is that I don't know if I would go too far as to say that Voron is not necessarily the ideal first printer, but I don't think it's a good printer for someone who doesn't have very good knowledge about 3D printing in general and in electrical or electronics in general. And that's purely because they are, I don't consider them to be aimed at those people, right? The Voron give you a list of the things that go in a kit and they give you the instructions to build it. And although there's plenty of support on the Discord server, that isn't the intention of it. It's not, you know, you sort of need to have a little bit of where we're all about, yeah? What's your opinions on frame earthing? Well, on an anodized frame, you'll struggle to earth it. If you make the effort to ensure that the frame is actually earthed, then there's not necessarily a reason not to do it. But you would have to make sure that that there's an actual what's the phrase? Continuity between every part of the frame. That 2.4 isn't earthed. Frame isn't earthed. The tool changer following the instructions is earthed, but whether the entire frame, because that's not anodized, that's just an aluminium thing. I've heard a lot of people getting quite grumpy. I don't earth my frames, but I agree there's very little doing it if it's, yeah, you would have to not get rid of, but you'd have to get rid of some of the anodizing in the place you're going to earth it, the place it's joined to other pieces, for it to actually make for it to work. Otherwise it's not doing anything. Richard's back. Like, if you put a wire to an anodized piece of aluminum, even if you've scratched a bit off on that piece is earth, but if the piece that connects to, and then that piece that connects to is not electrically connected or continuity, if there's not continuity, it's not going to make any difference. I think as long as you're earthing your bed, then, did he say aluminum? Aren't we all Brits here? Well, the three of us. I only have a socket in the kitchen, but I do make sure that the printer is properly wired. Yeah, so UK plug sockets are all earthed. Aluminum, I'm bilingual. Yeah, so like the printer is earthed through its electrical connection. The socket's earthed. The heated bed is earthed, but I've not gone to the effort to make the frame earthed. Aluminium. Earthing the bed isn't a bad idea, but frame is meh. Yeah. I've only electrocuted myself on 220 volts once, and I don't plan to do it again. But I think, see, that's where, like I was saying, with the kits and the Voron documentation, like it doesn't go into that only once, never ever again. It doesn't go into enough detail on a subject like that because I don't see it aimed at the people who would not know that, if that makes sense. I've had a mini shock since I've got a hit a few times on my V0. Oh, really? No, I'm talking many years ago. I had the see. This is again coming back to the thing. I like just to build stuff and mess around with things. I had the genius idea of making a hovercraft out of a Hoover. So I took a whole Hoover apart. I thought, oh, I better make sure this still works. So I picked up the switch and just switched it. But of course, the switch had bare terminals on the back. So I managed to electrocute myself. Oh, okay, you got an AC bed in. Yeah, I've never had a shock off a printer. It's really weird, right? I was speaking to Richard before about my internet connection and all of that. I've had zero problems with the internet connection today. It's so a bit weird out here because I'm sort of not attached to the house. Wow, that's tomorrow. Well, yeah, exactly. Luckily, I won't be streaming tomorrow, so it don't matter. But when I do have problems, Richard, so I'm in the garage, not connected to the house. I have a Wi-Fi booster socket. I don't know if you've ever seen them. So 2-gang socket, but it's got a Wi-Fi booster in it. That is what causes the problems. If I turn the power off, so everything loses power, including the Wi-Fi booster, turn it back on, that fixes it. So that's the main issue. But I still, like we've spoke about, I would like to get a wired connection out here, so just so I can get like my actual internet speeds. But the fact that it's been working fine, I'm very, touch wood, I'm very happy with. But I'll try and remember when this live stream finishes to put sort of things in the description so people know what. I want to try and do chapters as well for the live stream. Meshing access points aren't too bad nowadays. Yeah, I mean I've tried a few different things. I've tried power line adapters. I've got the boost. So the booster obviously connects to the Wi-Fi and then sends it out. I've tried a couple of other range extenders or whatever. I just think keep it simple. Just have a wired connection would be the best bet. Even if that wired connection then goes to an wireless access point in here, at least I'm right next to it. Yeah, wired is the best stuff. What are people up to the rest of the day? Obviously Richard's going to stay up for another few hours, then go to bed, hopefully. What time is it in Australia? And what time is it in Denmark? Sleeping, yeah. 4 o'clock here. I redid the wiring in my flat the other day. Pulled a bunch of cat sticks through the walls, replaced TV area. Same as China, 11 PM. 5 o'clock in Denmark. I did have a load of Ethernet cables, not Cat 6. That when I was working at another job, I used it there because we needed to extend some networks. We were testing something out, so I actually haven't got any cable anymore. I have tried to find out if that's still around, but I haven't heard nothing. Surely it should be fibre optic. Why we even bother with copper? What is the point in Cat 7? I'm able to do 10 gigabit per second between my desktop and server on a 6A. All I need. Fibre I couldn't self-terminate. I'm almost certain you could probably go to Shenzhen and get something to do that, Richard. That's actually the solution I need. Rather than running a cable out here, I need to build another workshop, a bigger one. Fibre to the house, Cat 7 in the house. We have fibre to cabinet where I am, and then it's good old BT copper. You don't know you lived until you had copper. I still remember the days of dial-up and someone picking the phone up and knocking your internet connection out. Gigabit 5, I would exchange it. I would exchange it for UK copper any day. We have HFC to the house. I run Cat 8 patch leads and Cat 7 long runs. Most stuff. I remember downloading the next week. Good old LimeWire. Or Napster. Metallica soon saw the end of that. Right, I think we'll call it definitely just another 5 minutes, and then we'll call it a day. Don't want to push my luck with this internet connection. I will be watching Steve builds with the third part, I think it is, because they're doing dual streams with Daniel from Modbot of their EasyBot build. That's what I'll be watching tonight. Lars is going to join me. Well done. I'll see you in the chat. Okay, Sophie, nice to see you. You might. Ah, yes. You might know, James, has the BBC Lucy Letby thing been out yet? If you're talking about a Pacific program that they're doing, I haven't seen it. I know who you're referring to, but I don't know. I've just had the news stories. I suspect it's probably going to be on iPlayer or something, but I've not seen it. But I would probably watch it as well, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know more than just hearing about it. I mean, without going into detail, because it's not really the sort of thing I want to go into. It would fascinate me to know what more there is to be revealed. Let's put it like that. Because I'm almost certain there's more. Almost certain. Oh, press some buttons. Oops. Right. Yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. Thank you everyone for coming along. Listen to me ramble for nearly 3 hours. Lars, I'll see you in the Steve Builds chat. I would like to try and stream again next week, just to keep that repetition going, just to so it's something that I can get used to doing. And I like to say, it'd be so funny to get that thing-o-matic down. So that's what I think we'll do next week. So yeah, thank you for coming, and I'll see you when I see you. Thank you.